Hello, best of Trekkers! We're going to get a little philosophical today, and the question we're tackling in this video: does Star Trek have a Space Jesus?
Space Jesus.
The term Space Jesus gets thrown around in a lot of space-based sci-fi, and there's no solid definition. I think what we're looking for as far as qualities to look at are someone with advanced, possibly supernatural knowledge, someone that makes a great sacrifice, possibly martyring themselves, someone that goes through great trials, and someone that has selfless compassion. I don't think a potential Space Jesus has to fall into all of these categories, but the more the better. Based on these qualities, there are at least 6 figures within the Trek universe that commonly have the term Space Jesus used to describe them. Spock, his half-brother Sybok, his adopted sister Michael Burnham, Wesley Crusher, Benjamin Cisco, and in Klingon mythology, I think we have to talk about Kessles.
Space Jesus.
Let's actually start with the last one, because we know the least about the founder of modern Klingon mythology, Kessles the Unforgettable. He probably actually mirrors the human concept of Jesus closer than any of the others, but with a Klingon twist of battling his enemies and becoming the first emperor of the Klingon Empire. Many parables are told about him, like the story of chasing his brother over hill and dale, only to battle him for 12 days and nights because he told a lie. Though we didn't know how he died and whether it involved martyrdom, we do know that, like the idea of Jesus, he promised to return. It just took about 1,400 years longer than the 3 days, a couple of few light years, and a cloning plot by the monks of Boreth, but his pledge to his followers did come true. Even though we do meet a resurrected version of Kessles in TNG, it's hard to truly say if he's a Space Jesus, as there's a lot of conjecture surrounding him. But as far as other galactic cultures go, I think he largely fits into that narrative.
Space Jesus.
Wesley Crusher doesn't fit into the martyr category, but he does check the boxes for someone that made a great sacrifice and has advanced knowledge that others don't. His path to sainthood starts in TNG's Where No One Has Gone Before, when he encounters a traveler who shows him the beginning of what he's capable of and insists Picard foster his talents. We later see his 40 days in the desert moment during Final Mission. It all culminates in his ascension to the next phase during Journey's End, when he realizes he can bend time and space through his thoughts. Though it's in Prodigy's recent 2nd season where we see the great sacrifices he's willing to make as part of the Travelers, a group of advanced beings that can see changes in multiple realities and, with the power of thought, have the ability to hold timelines together. While his altruistic nature and willingness to sacrifice his own life and comforts for the needs of the entire multiverse are admirable and Space Jesus-like, I don't think he truly lives up to the definition we're working off. More than that, a Space Jesus should have some mythology surrounding them. And for Wesley and the Travelers, it's merely advanced math and mind over matter.
Space Jesus.
Moving on to a character many love to hate for some reason, Michael Burnham. I honestly think she's the least of the candidates for the title of Space Jesus on this list. She did martyr herself and pretty immediately come back to life. But that's about it, unless we count wandering the desert with a head covering as part of the criteria. The rest of what people claim to make her Space Jesus is just thick plot armor. Though, in that category, hers is just as thick as Kirk's. By the end of Discovery, she does show her ability to analyze complex situations and sacrifice for the good of the galaxy, but that just makes her a highly capable Starfleet officer.
Space Jesus.
Now, her adopted brother Spock is a different story. He both sacrificed himself physically and mentally for Starfleet and died for the greater good, without the kind of hope his sister had at resurrection. He's sacrificed more and greater times for the good of all, more than almost anyone we've seen on screen in Star Trek. His resurrection even brings a bit of mysticism to the character that others in consideration here lack. His lost Katra being returned to his body hadn't been done for thousands of years, though on the other side of canonizing him into sainthood is that his greatness generally comes from logic and a keen intellect.
Space Jesus.
The children of Serak really went on to be philosophical beings of the universe, despite his terrible parenting. His only known full-blooded son, Sybok, is probably the most religiously obsessed character we meet in Trek, until the Bajorans are introduced in Deep Space Nine anyway. As with seemingly everyone on this list, he even makes his grand entrance wandering the desert on a horse with no name. He does have a special power in the form of mind melding with someone to bring out their secret pain, and somehow that keeps them under his spell. Overall, though, he seems like more of an apostle gathering his own disciples. His quest is seeking God, but I don't think a true space Jesus would have to seek God out. He would either just know the higher being, or said higher being would come to them.
Space Jesus.
Speaking of candidates for the position of Space Jesus that God's come to, that brings us to Benjamin Lafayette Cisco, the man that seems to check all the defined boxes of being Space Jesus. He gets advanced knowledge from the gods of the Bajorans, the prophets, as established right up front in the very first episode of the series. He definitely goes through great trials over 7 seasons of Deep Space Nine, some of the biggest of which are the struggle within himself to believe that he is the emissary. The prophets have to throw him a curveball in the form of a false emissary, Akorum Lon, to get him to realize he has been doing the good work of the prophets all along. He later has to come to terms with the idea that he is part prophet, and his real mother was a prophet that inhabited a human woman to ensure his birth. Though his record on compassion is a bit of a gray area at times, he does, though, have the strongest claim to being a martyr, sacrificing his very life to stop Dukat and the Pa-wraiths. He even foretells his resurrection, even if it hasn't happened yet in Alpha Canon. There is a whole comic series dealing with just that in the Beta Canon world. If there is such a thing as Space Jesus in Trek, the Cisco is definitely it. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider a like and subscribe. And until I see you again, live long and prosper.